It's a small plantation town in Central Oahu with a lot of character. It's also got a lot of history for me, as it's where my grandma's from, it's where my mom is from, where my mom and dad met, and where I spent some years of my childhood. It's also located where Schofield Barracks is. Welcome to Wahiawa. In this video, we'll show you where Wahiawa is located, types of homes and their prices, things to do. There's not really a lot of things to do, but there's really good food in Wahiawa, and hopefully we'll be able to check some of those out. We'll also take a trip down memory lane. I'll show you the history of Wahiawa, but in a different way. The history as it relates to me, as this is a place where I spent a lot of my childhood. Also, if you're a military service member, particularly in the Army, this is going to be an important video for you. If you're somebody that's looking at single-family home ownership, this is a great video for you as well. Or if you're an investor, it would be really great for you. By the way, if there's anything Koa or I can do to help you with real estate, whether you're buying or selling, please leave us a comment in the description box. And you know what? We'd love to hear from you anyway. I would love to hear where you're watching from, maybe why you're watching. You know, I went to Safeway the other day and there was a guy that was ringing me up and he's like, my son loves to watch your videos. And I'm like, really? How old is he? He's like, he's 5. So I don't know. Lots of people watch our videos apparently, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, in our Mililani video, if you haven't already watched that, that's a good one because Mililani is a town that's very close to Wahiawa. But when we filmed that one, we came here to Wahiawa, came to Kilani Bakery, and I was so excited to get brownies that day, and they didn't have any. And these are like the best brownies on the planet. They're like this perfect combination of like salty, sweet. This place is famous. So we're about, I don't know what time it is, 40 minutes from closing. I kind of think they might not have any, but let's see. See, this is why Wahiawa is Wahiawa, because it's like small town and these little businesses. Well, only Kilani Bakery does stuff like this, like try my lemon meringue, so you can obsess over other things and come all the way to Wahiawa to eat brownies and lemon meringue tarts. It is warm. Oh man, it's good. Okay, I'm gonna eat this later. Wahiawa is located about 20-ish miles north of the Honolulu International Airport. It's a town that's right past Mililani as you're on your way to the North Shore. It's actually the last town before you get to the North Shore itself. Haleiwa Town is probably about 13 minutes or so from here. I remember when I used to live in Mililani, I used to go to Haleiwa for coffee on certain times of the year, just when I wanted a little change of scenery. And it's really not that far. So you do find that a lot of people who live in Wahiawa enjoy and know how to surf on the North Shore. Now, houses up here are mostly going to be post and pier construction. We're going to take a look at some of those. We're looking at a house right now, and this is located on California Avenue. California Avenue runs from the top of Wahiawa all the way down to the bottom. I don't know why there's a California Avenue in this town, but there just is. This home is currently listed for $1.19 million. It's a multi-level or multi-family home. Yes, it is multi-level as well. And we're going to go inside and take a look. So this living space down here is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and then upstairs it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. I did some looking at the rental comps in Wahiawa. You could rent a 2-bedroom, 1 bath for about $1,900, and then a 3-bedroom, 2 bath for at least $2,500. Although based on the condition of this home, you could probably rent the upstairs and the downstairs for a little more than what I just quoted. But more importantly, what I like about this type of house is that it presents an opportunity for 2 families to buy together, or maybe even to buy it, live in one, rent out the other. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in Wahiawa typically go for about $825,000. That's actually the median price of Wahiawa. And then the condos usually go for about $340,000. So considering if you put those 2 prices together, you do arrive at this $1.19 million price point. But with all of this renovation, it's pretty beautiful. And I actually think that's a really great price. That's probably a little bit underpriced if you put those 2 prices together. Wow, yeah, let's go upstairs. And there's even an actual primary suite here. So a lot of homes in Wahiawa, you're gonna find that it's like a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, or a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and they're not gonna have a primary suite. But in this home, they have one, which is pretty cool. Split AC, but you don't really need split AC because Wahiawa is cold. And I know some people are watching this and they're like, yeah, right, how cold is it really? No, it really is. Like 58, 59 degrees in Wahiawa, you've got to use a space heater. I remember when I was little and we would be at my grandma's house in the wintertime. She had a single wall construction home. Now, single wall construction means exactly that. It's redwood and there's like 1 inch between you and the outside. So whatever the outside feels like, you're feeling it inside too. We would have to have like multiple blankets and little space heaters. Again, I know this sounds ridiculous, but if you ever lived in Wahiawa, you would know. Let's go check out the yard. Love the Pua Keni tree. Wow, that's huge. Those flowers smell so good. One thing about Wahiawa is it rains a lot and everything grows here. And when I say everything grows, one of the memories that I have growing up was that my grandpa grew a lot of pakalolo. Yeah, so you can put like what that is, because I don't think I'm supposed to say the word because I might get blocked on YouTube or something like that. And I've never smoked a single, I don't know what you call it. I've never even taken a puff in my entire life. 46 years old, never even done it, but I do enjoy the smell. I will say that. It just reminds me of my grandpa, and it's funny when I smell it and I tell people that like, oh, I like it. It reminds me of my grandpa. They're like, huh? But anyway, just a part of Wahiawa life. But one thing that's really good if you buy a house up here in Wahiawa is to have your sewer line scoped in case some of these bigger, older trees have made their way into the sewer. Also, I've been talking about post and pier foundation and single wall. Obviously, this house is not post and pier and it's not single wall, it's double wall. Double wall meaning there's drywall, double wall meaning that there's siding. This house has been renovated as of 2023, but this home was originally built in 1930, and you will find a lot of homes in Wahiawa that are of that age. Most homes here don't have garages, everything's pretty much carports, so you might find that some people's things are exposed and cars are often parked on the street as opposed to in the carport, as that becomes like an extra storage. Of course, these are homes that are typical of other homes in Hawaii that don't have basements either, so storage does somewhat become an issue. But we're gonna go look at some other homes that are more traditional in terms of what you'll see in Wahiawa. Actually, one right next door is post and pier, but there's one thing that I can't not do every time I come up here, and it's drive by my grandma's house, so we're gonna head there now. So here we are stalking the house that I spent a lot of time in as a child. This was my grandma's house, and almost every time I come to Wahiawa, I drive by, but I really feel stalky now that I'm standing outside. It looks so similar to what I remember, post and pier foundation. Oh, we didn't have dogs. Yeah, a lot of memories. You'll notice a lot of houses here don't have gutters. Gutters are really important, especially when you have this post and pier type of foundation, because when rain falls and goes underneath the house, it can shift the footings, which you have to spend time and money adjusting in the future. So a lot of homes don't have the gutters. Again, a lot of homes don't have garages. You've got the carports. My mom and my dad met here in Wahiawa. My dad was actually stationed at Schofield. My mom was Hawaiian Chinese Filipino. You know, you can tell that this is very much like a plantation type of neighborhood. He was stalking her. She was working at the commissary, and then they got married and they moved away and they had us kids in Missouri, but we would come back every summer to visit, and actually lived here for 3 years between the ages of 9 and 13. That's 4 years. And all of our cousins would visit, and it was a really, really great experience. So Wahiawa is one of those places that it does have this like deep-rooted soul. It's got culture. It's not for everybody. It's not super central, but it's also not as far as Waianae. And right next door is Mililani. Again, I'll mention that video if you haven't already watched it. It's a good one to watch. It's totally different from Wahiawa. Prices are very different as well. That house that I grew up in sold in 2020 for about $650,000. It would be about $830,000 to $850,000 today. So this was the elementary school that I came to when I was in 3rd grade, and I was living in Missouri. Sorry, you're gonna go down memory lane with me, remember? You're gonna come into a little bit of my trauma. And I used to walk to school on certain days. Other days I would catch the bus and kids would come on the bus with no shoes. And I thought, that's so cool. Living in Hawaii, you don't have to wear shoes, okay. And I came to school one day without shoes on and the teacher was like, Maila, why don't you have shoes on? And I'm like, oh, I thought we didn't have to wear shoes. And she was like, no, those kids don't have shoes. So that was a huge learning experience and such a cultural like shock for me. But I was bullied in this school pretty bad by 6th graders when I was in 3rd grade. But here's a caveat. I won a pageant and I wanted to wear my crown to school and I did it. That was really dumb and my mom let me. So that was a big lesson that I had to learn about kind of like not being boastful. Hello. And then by 4th grade, everything was okay. I made friends. Girls didn't want to meet me at the flagpole anymore. I got over it. And you know, maybe all that bullying created some thick skin for me to become a real estate agent. The overall vibe of Wahiawa is vintage. I could use the word charming, but I make fun of myself and other realtors when we use the word charming when we describe our listings, because charming actually just means small and old, which, okay, Wahiawa is also small and old, but to me, vintage is a better word, really, because there is culture, there are some really great memories here, and there's also this opportunity to redo things and to kind of keep this old character, like this coffee shop. This coffee shop is awesome. It's called Surfer's Coffee. But same thing with the houses. Like you can buy a house that was built in 1930 and then renovate it and continue to keep the feel of the house and that character of it, but still bring it up to modern speed. You've also got great restaurants here. Now, restaurants in the past that my aunties and uncles used to take us to were bakeries like Kilani Bakery or another bakery called Shan's or Sunnyside, which is still around today. They have the most amazing pies. But in modern day, we've got one of the best Mexican restaurants here in this town called El Palenque. So I've heard. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard that the salsa is nice and spicy and the food is very authentic. There's another Mexican restaurant up the street called El Taqueria Ranchero. I think that's the name of it. Oahu isn't known for Mexican restaurants, but ironically we have them here, and I think that has something to do with the strong military presence as well. Right now we're in Wahiawa Heights, we're on Royal Palm Avenue, and the vibe totally changes up here compared to what we saw down below. I know down below things were just a little bit more sketch, as Yasu said earlier, and up here the homes get more spread out. It starts to feel a little bit more like Pupukea on the North Shore. Now, who should live in Wahiawa? Anybody that wants a house for under $1 million, you can still find those here. Also, anybody who's got a green thumb. Things grow like crazy here. It rains a lot. It's vintage, so if you like vintage homes, you're gonna love it. If you like fixer-uppers, maybe not so much. There's a car coming, so we're gonna move on the side and we'll just keep on going. You won't like living up here if you don't like rain and if you don't like cold. Like Wahiawa's not for me in that regard, but I know a lot of my family really enjoys it because they say it's so nice and cozy. Wahiawa's a little bit rough, but it's not that in-your-face type of roughness that like Waianae is. Here, I feel like, yeah, you need to have a bit of a thick skin, but one of the great things about living up here is that there's different types of people, and so you kind of learn how to get along with different people, and that's one lesson I learned as a kid, especially with a lot of people here who are in the military. If you are in the military, check out our blog at dwellhawaii.com. We have BAH charts for you, so you can look right there and see how much your housing allowance is going to get you. And Koa and I would love to help you if you are PCSing here. We'd love to get in touch with you ahead of time and kind of start educating you to make it really efficient when you actually do get here. Wahiawa is a very special place to me. Although I have some bad memories, I have some special memories too. My aunties and uncles, they're all baby boomers. They get together with their classmates every year for class reunions. People who grew up here have a real connection to each other, and they have a real connection to this place too. Anytime I meet anybody who says they're from Wahiawa, immediately it's like we're friends. We start dropping names of my aunties and my uncles, and everybody knows each other. So it does have that small town vibe. It's kind of like a Hilo, but with helicopters, or maybe like a rural Kaimuki. If Koa or I can help you get to know this neighborhood or any other neighborhood, please get in touch with us at info@dwellhawaii.com. We would love to help.